I am the light of the world. That is my only function. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. As the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks, here on Thursday, March the 21st of 2024, studying A Course in Miracles, published by Foundation for Inner Peace. And we're ready for our next review lesson, which is lesson 6. It's review of lesson 61 and 62. We're in lesson 81. We're going to go back on the last 20 and look at them. Let's look at the introduction first, though, before we actually read the lessons, which those two lessons, I am the light of the world, and forgiveness is my function as the light of the world, which was lesson 61 and 62. So the review, number 2, introduction. We're now ready for another review. We will begin where our last review left off and cover 2 ideas each day. The earlier part of each day will be devoted to one of these ideas, and the latter part of the day to the other. We will have one longer exercise period and frequent shorter ones in which we practice each of them. The longer practice periods will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them. So we're going to do one long practice period in the morning and review I am the light of the world today. And then in the evening or towards sunset or when you go to bed at night, sometimes towards evening, do your second lesson, your second longer practice period for about 15 minutes. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. The longer practice periods will follow this general form. Take about 15 minutes for each of them and begin by thinking about the ideas for the day and the comments that are included in the assignments. Devote some 3 or 4 minutes to reading them over slowly several times if you wish, and then close your eyes and listen. So this will be what I like to think of as a reading meditation. A lot of people don't think of reading as a meditation, but oh my, it is. It's a wonderful meditation. Think about it. It's you're staying focused. You're keeping your attention on one thing, which is the book, any book, and in this case, be Course in Miracles. And you'll be looking at the idea and internalizing it and keeping your focus. And he wants us to use this consciously. Actually sit down and take the first of that 15 minutes for 3 or 4 minutes of it, just reading through the lesson. Repeat the first phase of the exercise period if you find your mind wandering, but try to spend the major part of the time listening quietly but attentively, so you can go back to reading again if you find your mind wandering. Otherwise, with your eyes closed, go into the silence, contemplating the ideas you just have been reading about. There is a message waiting for you. Be confident that you will receive it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Remember that it belongs to you and that you want it. Do not allow your intent to waver in the face of distracting thoughts. Realize that whatever form such thoughts may take, they have no meaning and no power. Replace them with your determination to succeed. Do not forget that your will has power over all fantasies and dreams. Trust it to see you through and carry you beyond them all. Regard these practice periods as dedications to the way, the truth, and the life. Refuse to be sidetracked into detours, illusions, and thoughts of death. You're dedicated to salvation. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. Reaffirm your determination in the shorter practice periods as well, using the original form of the idea for general applications and more specific forms when needed. Some specific forms are included in the comments which follow the statement of the ideas. These, however, are merely suggestions. It is not the particular words you use that matter. So he wants us to remember that the ideas that he's going to give us are not necessarily to be taken verbatim. They can be, but he wants you to get a sense of the underlying content and put your own specific words on it. Our ideas for review today in Lesson 81 are 61 and 62. 61, our first one, I am the light of the world. So you'll read this in the morning, and then throughout the day, the earlier part of the day, think about that. And then, and the latter part of the day, think about the second one. But let's look at this. I am the light of the world. How holy am I? How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world. We've been given the function of lighting up the world. Let me be still before my holiness. In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In my, how's he say it? In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In its peace, let me remember who I am. Some specific forms for applying this idea when special difficulties seem to arise might be, let me not obscure the light of the world in me. Let the light of the world shine through this appearance. This shadow will vanish before the light. I am the light of the world. And then in our afternoon review, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And I generally read the whole lesson, both parts, in the morning. And then sometimes throughout the day, I'll switch over to the afternoon, and I'll take just a little longer, maybe a couple minutes instead of one or two, and read through it and try to do a little mini practice period. And then at sometime towards sunset or later in the evening, I'll do my longer practice period, which is going to take 15 minutes, and it'll be on the second portion. But I'll probably read the first portion too in that practice, but focus more on the second portion. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. And what's your function? Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function of forgiveness that I will see the light in me. And in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. And unambiguous, not open to more than one interpretation, is unambiguous. Not open to more than one interpretation. In this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, and I do not yet understand forgiveness. Excuse me, I said and instead it should have been for. My acceptance of in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Oh, the riches that forgiveness will give us. We have no idea at the beginning how valuable this is to practice forgiveness and all the treasures and vision that it opens up for us. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Let's read that again. In It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me, and in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Specific forms for using this idea might include, let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Something comes up that's causing you some discomfort. Well, apply forgiveness and then tell yourself, let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function from my will. Don't let me separate my function from my will. And I will not use this for an alien purpose. Something contrary to the function God has given us. An alien purpose, an ego purpose. Okay, let's go back and look at our, we're ready to start chapter 10, the idols of sickness. Before we read that, let's take a look at what's going on around the world. Here on March the 21st, usually this is equinox, but this year it was earlier, it was on the 19th. Let's see, Absolutely Incredible Kid Day. Be ye as little children, and such enter the kingdom of heaven, Jesus said. Afghanistan Day, American Immigration Lawyer Association Day of Action, American Immigration Lawyer Association Day of Action, Education Freedom Day, Gallo Wine Day, International Color Day, and a lot of near-deathers, when they come back, say there's colors that we don't even know about in this world that they know of now. International Color Day, International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, International Day of Forest and the Tree, International Day of Nowruz, and I did look up, Nowruz is the Persian word for a new day. And it's beginning of spring, the vernal equinox. Big Bang Day, California Strawberry Day, Companies That Care Day, Memory Day, National Common Courtesy Day, National Countdown Day, National Crunchy Taco Day, National Day of Action on Spring Exchange. I'm not sure what that National Day of Action on syringe exchange. Don't share syringes. Maybe seems like that'd be a good thing to not do. Maybe it's how to dispose of syringes. I'm not sure. National Farm Rescuer Day, National Flower Day, National Fragrance Day, National Flower Day, National Fragrance Day, National French Bread Day, National Healthy Fats Day, National Renewable Energy Day, National Rosie the Riveter Day, about women working in World War II, National Teenager Day, Orange and Lemon Day, Single Parents Day, Slytherin Pride Day. Well, that's a Harry Potter Hogwarts, one of their houses, and it's known for its ambition, cunning, and resourcefulness. Oh, Harry Potter. And let's see what else we have here. A lot of things today. Ta'anit Esther, basically the fast of Esther Day in Hebrew, in Israel. Twitter Day, as Twitter began on this day in 2006. World Poetry Day, World Down Syndrome Day, and World Puppetry Day. And then out of edible landscaping, let's look at the Chester thornless blackberry. Chester is an early fine-tasting semi-erect thornless blackberry. I remember sampling Chester when it was a numbered seedling at the University of Maryland's Cherry Hill Research Facility, and I enthusiastically promoted its flavor. Hardier than many varieties, fruits are sweet and juicy, though as all blackberries, they must be left on the plant until they come easily off the calyx. They won't ripen after you pick them. Zone 6 through 8, space 5 to 6 foot apart in beds that are 5 foot wide. and they are Arubis fruticosus. And then out of Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell, Chapter 5, Plant Placement. Let me just read this paragraph. The overall pattern of, this is under Design from Patterns to Details. The overall pattern of cause and effect that will govern the behavior of elements in your garden is the starting point for design. You will begin adding in the fine details after establishing this, and those details will almost certainly cause you to modify that general pattern as you progress. You need to allow that overall pattern to be defined by the opportunities that the site offers, as this will retain the most natural authenticity. For successful permaculture, you need our design to harmonize with nature's shaping of the land as much as possible, or you'll find yourself having to continuously battle nature to preserve the alterations that you've made artificially. This will limit the possibilities of your site. For instance, hilly and mountainous regions are excellent for collecting water at higher altitudes, where it can then be manipulated to your advantage, but not appropriate for growing delicate crops. Identify the prime opportunities your site offers and recognize its limitations. Don't fight nature. I thought that was awesome, good things, so I thought, well, we'll read a little bit out of the book. I don't know if we should read it all. I'd like to if I could ever find Carrie Mitchell and get her permission. But we're just kind of going through it and I'm telling you what I read. But I wanted to read that paragraph. Okay, the idols of sickness, introduction. Nothing beyond yourself can make you fearful or loving, because nothing is beyond you. Time and eternity are both in your mind and will conflict until you perceive time solely as a means to regain eternity. You cannot do this as long as you believe that anything happening to you is caused by factors outside yourself. You must learn that time is solely at your disposal and that nothing in the world can take this responsibility from you. You can violate God's laws in your imagination, but you cannot escape from them. They were established for your protection and are as inviolate as your safety. Paragraph 2. God created nothing beside you, and nothing beside you exists, for you are part of Him. What except Him can exist? Nothing beyond Him can happen, because nothing except Him is real. Your creations add to Him as you do, but nothing is added that is different, because everything has always been. What can upset you except the ephemeral? And how can the ephemeral be real if you are God's only creation and He created you eternal? Your holy mind establishes everything that happens to you. Every response you make to everything you perceive is up to you, because your mind determines your perception of it. God, and paragraph 3, last of the introduction. God does not change His mind about you, for He is not uncertain of Himself, and what He knows can be known because He does not know it only for Himself. He created you for Himself, but He gave you the power to create for yourself so you would be like Him. That is why your mind is holy. Can anything exceed the love of God? Can anything then exceed your will? Nothing can reach you from beyond it, because being in God, you encompass everything. Believe this, and you will realize how much is up to you. When anything threatens your peace of mind, ask yourself, has God changed His mind about me? Then accept His decision, for it is indeed changeless, and refuse to change your mind about yourself. God will never decide against you, or He would be deciding against Himself. Let's go ahead and read the next section. It's only 4 paragraphs long. At home in God. You do not know your creation simply because you would decide against them as long as your mind is split, and to attack what you have created is impossible. But remember that it is as impossible for God. The law of creation is that you love your creations as yourself, because they are part of you. Everything that was created is therefore perfectly safe, because the laws of God protect it by His love. Any part of your mind that does not know this has banished itself from knowledge, because it has not met its conditions. Who could have done this but you? Recognize this gladly. Recognize when you made a mistake. Recognize that you've done it. Recognize it gladly. For in this recognition lies the realization that your banishment is not of God, and therefore does not exist. 2. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. Is it your decision to do so? You recognize from your own experience that what you see in dreams you think is real while you are asleep. Yet the instant you waken, you realize that everything that seemed to happen in the dream did not happen at all. You do not think this strange, even though all the laws of what you awakened to were violated while you slept. Is it not possible, and I might add it certainly is possible, is it not possible that you merely shifted from one dream to another without really waking? Wow, are we dreaming? Would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams, or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is not in accord with either? Would you bother to reconcile what happened in conflicting dreams, or would you dismiss both together if you discovered that reality is in accord with neither? You do not remember being awake. When you hear the Holy Spirit, you may feel better, because loving then seems possible to you. But you do not remember yet that it once was so. And it is in this remembering that you will know it can be so again. What is possible has not yet been accomplished. Yet what has once been is so now, if it is eternal. When you remember, you will know that what you remember is eternal, and therefore is now. In the last paragraph 4, you will remember everything the instant you desire it wholly. You will remember everything the instant that you desire it wholly. For if to desire wholly is to create, you will have willed away the separation, returning your mind simultaneously to your Creator and your creations. Knowing them, you will have no wish to sleep, but only the desire to waken and be glad. Waken and be glad. Dreams will be impossible because you will want only truth. And being at last your will, it will be yours. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful understanding. Let's wake from our dream. Even if we're thinking that we're awake, we might be dreaming, might be sleepwalking through life, huh? That's why we want to do our lessons every day, your longer meditations, 2 for 15 minutes today. And then throughout the day, I'd encourage you, like at least once an hour, try to bring it to your memory, what you're thinking about. I am the light of the world in the morning, and in the afternoons, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And before we close, let's read it again. I am the light of the world. How holy am I, who have been given the function of lighting up the world? Let me be still before my holiness. In its calm light, let all my conflicts disappear. In its peace, let me remember who I am. Some specific forms for applying this idea when special difficulties seem to arise might be: let me not obscure the light of the world in me. Let the light of the world shine through this appearance. This shadow will vanish before the light. And then in our afternoon review of 62 lesson, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And you don't have to go back to lesson 61 and 62 and read them again. You can if you want to, but it's not required. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. It is through accepting my function that I will see the light in me. And in this light will my function stand clear and perfectly unambiguous before my sight. My acceptance does not depend on my recognizing what my function is, for I do not yet understand forgiveness. Yet I will trust that in the light I will see it as it is. Specific forms for using this idea might include: Let this help me learn what forgiveness means. Let me not separate my function from my will. I will not use this for an alien purpose. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And this song that I kind of, my own little renditioning of this little light of mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. And then our lesson, I am the light of the world. That is my only function. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. As the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. And our word for peace, my nephew Caleb is in the Philippines, and I had him look up, and he asked somebody, and they said the word we use is, in just a minute, Bati Bati Tayu. I looked it up and it said Kalina. And so I said, hey, find out how to pronounce Kalina. And he came back and said, well, they say the word for peace is Bati Tayu. So we'll use the word that he found for us. So I expect there's a number of words. So until tomorrow, Bati Tayu. I am the light of the world. Forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Bati Tayu.